A credit rating is a critical part of a state's arsenal. It enables a state to borrow money at the lowest rates. Some will say at the moment that you can borrow money around the world at low rates anyway, so credit rating, is that as important? Well, it is when you consider your rating and whether or not you're viewed by investors as a safe bet. It's like you and I going to the bank and saying, look, I want to buy a house, and the bank turns around and says, look, I don't know that you've got a stable enough job, or that we think the house is in an area where maybe there isn't enough employment for the future and so on. That's in effect what's happened in Victoria, where the credit rating has been downgraded for a second time. Now, this downgrading of a credit rating is quite crucial, but you may recall that we discussed on Monday that the Andrews government was giving out about $137 million in compensation to businesses that have been adversely affected in Victoria by the 5-day lockdown. Now, glaringly, the disparity on these vouchers at the time were $200 a pop for the vouchers, the region's getting 20%, the city getting 80%. And the timing of those vouchers, interesting, is it an admission that the Andrews government had come out with that economic apology, but in effect they knew that they were about to get a credit rating downgrade. Now, the downgrade is from their current AAA, and the advisors within the Victorian government would have known that their rating was going to head south, and with the Valentine's Day weekend, all the issues that it cost in terms of businesses, bookings at tourism outlets and motels and so on for that weekend, that the situation for the government was, let's get ahead by giving out these vouchers and by basically compensating businesses for their losses, because the news is about to come to hand that we're actually getting our credit rating downgraded, and that's not good when you consider that it's not the first time the Victorian credit rating has been downgraded by Moody's, who follow Standard & Poor's, in saying that Victoria is not as safe a place to invest as other states in Australia. From Louise Staley, who is the Shadow Treasurer and the member for Ripon, which takes in the areas of Charlton and Donald in our broadcasts in the North Central, she says, today is a sad day for Victorians as Moody's has followed Standard & Poor's in downgrading Victoria's credit rating. And what this says is that Victoria is a riskier place to invest than other states due to the mismanagement of the Andrews Labor government. I suppose you can put the boots in when you're in opposition, but I think you have to state the obvious. The credit rating has been downgraded. It hasn't happened in New South Wales or South Australia. And one would then ask if those states are managing their economies better at the moment than what Daniel Andrews is in Victoria.